Hello, I'm Jashikins, and welcome back to another episode of Jash Reads. Today we are going to be continuing to read Eragon by Christopher Pliny, the first book in the Inheritance cycle. And as always, this video is not intended for kids. Instead, it is intended for adults who are discovering or rediscovering the inheritance cycle. And so earlier today, why this video was slightly, should have come out a little bit earlier, but slightly later, was because I voted. Yeah, I did the early mail-in voting, and I filled it out yesterday, and then me, Rev Resner, and one of our neutral mutual friends went and sent off our ballots at the same time. First, we had to buy some stamps. It's like 70 cents. And now I'm like slightly worried because for mail-in voting, the signature you sign it with has to match the one that's on file. So it's you don't always get your signature the same time and time again. So I'm just like crossing my fingers, hoping nothing's gone wrong in that front. So yeah. And you should look up because certain states will, tell you if the signature didn't match, and others won't. So yay! And also, don't worry about mail and voting being fraudulent, like full of scammers. It's really hard, and like I told you, I just put my mail-in ballot, and I'm worried about the signature. So yeah, it's not really a problem of scammers and fraudulent voters via mail-in voting. So yeah. But anyways, so yay, I voted, and if you're going to, God damn it. Okay, if you're a U.S. citizen, remember to vote. You don't have to do mail-in voting. You can walk in, just vote. Make sure your voice is heard, no matter who you're voting for. I was like, great, my intro's usually non-political, but now it's like around like a 2-minute remember to vote thing. So let's go and get lost in a fantasy land instead of the utter batshit insanity that is real life. So let's get started, and today we will finish up the chapter we've been working on for a little bit. So yay! Something had been overlooked, though. Eragon was not. God damn, I added a period where there wasn't meant to be any. So this is a great start. This is a great start. Extra long intro, mess up like first sentence. This is awesome. This is awesome. That's why I don't have many. Okay, I'm going to continue. Something had been overlooked, though Aragon was not sure what. Then it struck him. With a sinking heart, he voiced his suspicion. Roran doesn't know, does he? How could I have forgotten him? Horst shook his head. He and Dempton left a little while after you. Unless they ran into some difficulty on the road, they've been in Theransford for a couple of days now. We were going to send a message, but the weather was too cold yesterday and the day before. Baldur and I were about to leave when you woke up, offered Albrecht. Horst ran a hand through his beard. Go on, both of you. I'll help you saddle the horses. Baldur turned to Eragon. I'll break it to him gently, he promised, then followed Horst and Albrecht out of the kitchen. Eragon remained at the table, his eyes focused on a knot in the wood. Every excruciating detail was clear to him. The twisting grain, an asymmetrical bump, 3 low ridges with a fleck of color. The knot was filled with endless detail. The closer he looked, the more he saw. He searched for answers in it, but if there were any, they eluded him. A faint call broke through his pounding thoughts. It sounded like yelling from outside. He ignored it. Let someone else deal with it. Several minutes later, he heard it again, louder than before. Angrily, he blocked it out. Why can't they be quiet? Carol's resting. He glanced at Elaine, but she did not seem to be bothered by the noise. Eragon! The roar was so strong he almost fell out of the chair. He peered around in alarm, but nothing had changed. He suddenly realized that the shouts had been inside his head. Saphira? He asked anxiously. There was a pause. Yes, stone ears. Relief seeped into him. Where are you? She sent him an image of a small clump of trees. I tried to contact you many times, but you were beyond reach. I was sick, but I'm better now. Why couldn't I sense you earlier? After 2 nights of waiting, hunger bested me. I had to hunt. Did you catch anything? A young buck. He was wise enough to guard against the predators of land, but not those of sky. When I first caught him in my jaws, he kicked vigorously and tried to escape. I was stronger, though, and when defeat became unavoidable, he gave up and died. Does Garrow also fight the inevitable? I don't know. He told her the particulars, then said, it'll be a long time, if ever, before we can go home. I won't be able to see you for at least a couple of days. You might as well make yourself comfortable. Unhappily, she said, I will do as you say, but do not take too long. They parted reluctantly. He looked out a window and was surprised to see what the sun had set. Yes, what did you set, son? Oh gosh, okay, that's only 2 mistakes here, so I'll continue. Just then hopefully not mess up for the rest of the chapter because there is not much left at all. So here's cross our fingers, help me out here. Give me some good vibes. They parted reluctantly. He looked out a window and was surprised to see that the sun had set. Feeling very tired, he limped to Elaine, who was wrapping meat pies with oilcloth. "I'm going back to Gertrude's house to sleep," he said. She finished with the packages and asked, "Why don't you stay with us? You'll be closer to your uncle, and Gertrude can have her bed back." "Do you have enough room?" he asked, wavering. "Of course." She wiped her hands. "Come with me. I'll get everything ready." She escorted him upstairs to an empty room. He sat on the edge of the bed. "Do you need anything else?" she asked. He shook his head. "In that case, I'll be downstairs. Call me if you need help." He listened as she descended the stairs. Then he opened the door and slipped down the hallway to Garo's room. Gertrude gave him a small smile over her darting knitting needles. "How is he?" whispered Eragon. Her voice rasped with fatigue. "He's weak, but the fever's gone down a little and some of the burns look better. We'll have to wait and see, but this could mean he'll recover." That lightened Eragon's mood, and he returned to his room. The darkness seemed unfriendly as he huddled under the blankets. Eventually he fell asleep, healing the wounds his body and soul had suffered. And end chapter! Yay! Not my strongest reading, but I don't think this counts as one of my worst, hopefully. It's like some weeks I miss doing this dramatic reading, and then it's like a 2 or 3 week wait for, yeah. So I find I find it amusing that Eragon forgot about his brother Roran, and it's like just very short time ago in the book, weren't you all, a little sad about your brother moving on with his life, about, the him breaking away from you, everything changing with you and him, and then it's like, "Oh, shit, I forgot something. I forgot. Oh, Roran. Oh shit." But at the same time, I can understand how Eragon would forget. He had to deal with Saphira, racing off, his injury, and then he comes back to home and then he finds it utterly destroyed. His father figure dying, most likely. So it's sort of understandable why he would forget Roran, but it's still just really amusing to me for some reason. And I can't tell you why, because I'm trying to do a, no spoiler for the rest of the series policy on these videos, the same what I'm doing for my Animorphs dramatic readings. So I can't say why, but I will say Roran, I prefer him over Eragon, even though Eragon has a cool ass dragon. But I can't really talk about it. The next book I'll be able to talk about it more, because Roran becomes a little more of an important figure in the series. So luckily, I can start to get all my Roran fangirling out next book, which might be a few millennia from now. But yeah. And I like what Gertrude tells Eragon at the end of the chapter, saying, but this could mean he'll recover. Even though I don't really think she believes that, I think that's some hope she's holding on to, even though she's like, yeah, this probably isn't going to happen, but she's like, I need to hold on to this for just the sake of my sanity. I need to hold on. And so she imparts that sense of hope to Eragon so that, he can sleep better, believing that things will be all right. And for this video's question, let's see. What do you think about Eragon and Saphira's conversation this chapter? Please comment down below. What do you think? Personally, I found it a little bit amusing, especially when Saphira's like, oh yeah, I was such a badass taking down this animal. I'm so awesome. Oh wait, what I'm saying could be misconstrued as me laughing at your uncle. Oh shit. So what did you think? Comment down below. Also, remember, comment down below with anything else you noticed about this chapter. The good, the bad, the ugly. Just remember, no major spoilers. I am hoping that, some people get into the inheritance cycle via these videos. And if you've read this entire series before, you know there are some really big twists and turns this series takes. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, but still there's these twists and turns. And if this is your first time reading, yeah, you should not be spoiled at all. And if my video did interest you at all in reading at least the first book in the inheritance cycle, Eragon, everywhere I post this video, I post a link to where you can buy your very own copy of the book. Myself, I have the hardback version. Just, it's really funny. I got the last two books in the series hard copies before I bought the first two. So I got, the first and second book in hardcover just because if I buy a series all in one sort of cover, I need to continue that or I just feel lost. Life does not make sense. But yeah. So I would recommend you buying the book yourself and using the link provided because not only will that link support the actual, author, Christopher Polini, I also will get a little bit of the proceeds since I'm an Amazon associate. So not only will you be getting a good book, not only will you be helping to support an author, you will also be helping to support me, who is totally awesome in every way, shape, and form, and has no faults whatsoever. Also, remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I will be reading the entire inheritance cycle. So, not just the first book, but also the second, third, and fourth book. And I'm not too sure if I'll ever get to the short story collection that came out, I think a year or two ago. So, don't know if I'll get there, but I know the inheritance cycle, yes. The short story collection, I don't know. And also remember to like this video if you like dragons. If you don't like dragons, why are you interested in listening to me read a book which heavily features an awesome dragon? So, I expect everyone who watches this video to like it. And I hope that everyone is having a safe week so far. And hope you all have a safe night. Me, I'm a little worried. Rev Resner is going to get a little procedure and needs to fast a little bit. And this is the last day he can actually eat really normal food. So that meant he got to pick, what we're eating tonight. And I can't say no, or, I'd be a bad person. I feel guilty. So I'm going to have to endure eating Five Guys. My bowels usually aren't the same for like a day or two afterwards, so I'm worried. So I hope I have a great night. Me and him will be finishing up watching Bly Manor, but yeah, I'm really worried. As I said, my bowels usually aren't the same for a few days afterwards, so I am really scared now. I am terrified. And I hope you have a much better night than I'll probably have. And until next video, goodbye.